See sometimes a little pika. But yeah, let's go to the K-Wave News Zoom room. Now, before we go any further with you two ladies, just because I want to know what I'm getting into here, what's your car score?
No comment.
No, there you go. Margaret's like, you know me, Chris. I don't want to I'm staying out of it. I'm busy enough. Good morning. It's 8:52. So we have Dr. Margaret Toriuchima, the University of Guam, Dean of Nursing. We also have Amber Nkanko, BSW, BA. I don't even know what that means, Amber, but I know the SW is probably social work.
It's some important stuff.
It is, right? And so you guys are doing this really cool. My mom's a caregiver. She's been a caregiver a long time with Catholic Social Services. Now she's over in Kansas doing hospice care, right? So I feel like I can definitely relate to a lot of the caregivers on Guam. I mean, sometimes people don't even know they're going to be caregivers. It's not the career path they choose. I mean, a lot of times, right? That's what happens is you get a family member who's sick, and then it's like, okay, who's going to take care of auntie or right? And so that's where I think this Zoom comes in very, very valuable. So we'll go ahead and give you the floor. Tell us a little bit about it, and then I'll Bree has some tough questions for you guys.
Whatever.
Good morning, and thanks so much for having us. We really do appreciate it. And it's nice to talk about something not COVID for a few minutes. However, of course, COVID does impact everything. So we have a Guam Micronesia Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program grant from the Department of Health and Human Services. And we're in year 2 of the grant. And I got to tell you, Sabrina, in March when the pandemic hit and we had to shut down, it set us back quite a bit. Prior to that, we were doing we were doing at least twice a month, sometimes more, training sessions here at UOG for the public. And we would have caregivers, that work for agencies like Catholic Social Service, Mayor's Council of Guam, Health Services of the Pacific, would actually come for ongoing training in geriatrics, and then also how to care for those with Alzheimer's disease and related dementias. But in addition to that, we were having sessions for family members. And these are families who, like Chris said, you don't know when you're going to be a caregiver, right? Someone in our family gets sick, has a chronic illness or an acute illness like a stroke, that becomes chronic, right? And then we end up being a caregiver and finding ourselves in that situation. And so we were having sessions at the school prior to COVID, and we were getting quite a high number of attendees. At one point the room was maximum capacity, and so we were very distraught when we had to stop in March because we were really getting to know these people and really getting to understand, or just start to get to understand what their needs were. And the needs were very overwhelming. And so fortunately, we finally got our act together. It was hard, but we were able to come up with these live sessions on Zoom, and started last month doing fall prevention for the elderly. And now the session tonight is on caregiver stress management. But we had 3 sessions last month, and they were all very well attended, and we were happy to see some of our regulars from before actually attend, and many new faces. So we're very excited about that. And we have Amber Nkanko, who's also working for our grant. She is a BSW, Bachelor of Social Work graduate, and she's been working with us for several years as a student. And so we thought this is a great opportunity to use her background in social work to help us. And so she will be co-presenting tonight and then Saturday again for the session.
Amber, if you could kind of explain, I guess, your role today and what you're going to be presenting.
So the presentation is going to be focusing on managing caregiver stress. We understand that, like they said, caregiver isn't, I guess, a job that we always signed up for, but it's a job that we are as a family community. And we want to make sure that the caregivers are taken care of as well. A lot of times it can be a really stressful job, but we want to remind them that we're here and we care about you as well. And so we want to give some tips and some just reminders on things that they can do to make sure that they are equipped and ready to care for their loved ones as well.
So this isn't specific to caregivers who provide care to elderly? What about like with children with disabilities, and people with, I guess, emotional disorders? Are they also,
Yeah,
can they also participate?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, definitely. And so this session is open to the public, and we really encourage anybody who's a caregiver of a family member or a friend, or someone that's close to them, or even if it's their job and they experience stress. But we're even going to do a self-assessment, so that we'll ask a series of questions and they can rate themselves and find out, do you have a high level of stress? What are you experiencing? But definitely caregiving, spans the whole gamut of, taking care of a sick child, taking care of someone who's disabled, as well as the elderly. Also, caring for someone that maybe has a terminal illness, right? Such as cancer. Although any type of caregiving, this session will address the stress and those needs, because caregivers have a lot of stressors in common. And so I think this is a good opportunity to talk about it. And also on Guam, Sabrina, it's not that it's not that different in the States, but on Guam we have a lot of cultural things that are unique to our culture. We're very family oriented, but also many of our cultures here, we don't like to ask for help. And we feel that there are expectations, that we care for anybody in our family, or even our relatives, our extended family, right? And the concept of family on Guam is so broad. And so we know that we wanted to have an opportunity for people to come in a safe, a safe environment, and ask us questions, and then hear from us about ways that they could take care of themselves so that they can take care of others.
You said common stressors. What are some of those common stressors?
Amber, you want me to answer that one?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, you jump in whenever you want. Okay, some of the common stressors that we face as a caregiver. It can range anywhere from having emotional feelings such as anger, feeling guilty, depression, in extreme cases, right? You can end up feeling depressed. Also, it can affect you physically as well. There's a lot of research, Sabrina. It's not that it's good, but there's been a lot of research in the past years about caregiver stress, caregiver burnout. And it ranges anywhere from, affecting your sleep to long-term stressors like affecting your physical health, your blood pressure. We are finding that some caregivers just aren't taking care of their own health and becoming ill as well. And that's a terrible situation. If the caregiver becomes ill, then who's going to take care of the person that they were taking care of, right? And so that's a big problem. And then with the caregivers, you've heard of the sandwich generation, right? That's people like a little older than me or my age, in their 60s, taking care of their parent who may be in their 70s, 80s, or 90s. And then yet also taking care of their growing children, right? You also see people in their 30s who take care of their disabled or elderly family member, and then they're raising young children. And imagine during this time of pandemic, they're all stuck at home, but you've got this person who's sandwiched between the two generations and having to juggle many things. And we do see a lot of caregivers who are working. And that's a common stressor that, you're working, you got to juggle taking care of your job because you need your job, and then taking care of your loved one, whether it's a parent or a spouse that's ill.
And Amber, you said that you were going to be presenting some tips, right, for caregivers. What are some of those tips that you could at least share with us now, or give us a preview?
So of course, there's the general tips that everyone hears is to exercise, and we understand that it's really hard to exercise. Many of these caregivers don't have a lot of time on their hands, but we want to just, I guess, like tell them that there are easier ways to find exercise. There's a lot of everyday activities. Many people on Guam like to garden, they like to dance, they like to do Zumba. And these are just easy ways for caregivers to kind of relieve a little bit of stress. And another example could be maybe respite care. And I also was new to this term. I thought respite care automatically meant hiring someone. But we learned that respite care is just maybe asking a brother, asking a sister, asking a relative to maybe for an hour, I want to try and take a break. Can you come and help me out? And leaning on really each other to kind of know that this is a community job, that how they say it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes a village to maybe care for your loved ones. And there are many other tips, but you'd have to tune in to find out.
Thank you.
You are good.
So Amber, how did you get into this? How did you get into this line of work?
Sorry?
How did you get into this line of work?
So I actually, Dr. Margaret mentioned, I was a teaching assistant for the School of Health for about 3 years. I was also in another research training program called Build Exito. And so I worked with them through many different outlets. And right before graduation, they grabbed me while they could. And they told me about this grant. I actually had no idea about anything in regards to geriatrics, but when they told me, I was extremely interested to know how much of a great need it is on our island. And as a social worker, of course, our first job is to help and to provide service. But our second, or not second, but hand in hand comes to care, you know, and that's where I feel like to care about what we're doing. And so when she told me how much this was needed on the island, I automatically jumped at the opportunity, and I didn't want to miss out. So here I am.
All right, let's get into the details on how people can join in this conference.
So we have an online registration. We have a session tonight, November 12th, from 6 to 7 p.m. And we have another session on Saturday, November 14th, from 10 to 11 a.m. We do have a flyer that's going around. And on the flyer, it's an online registration. We could go ahead and share that if for those who may not have it. And it's an easy, quick 2-minute registration. You just gotta provide your name, your role, and that's just how you pretty much sign up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we got it on the screen for you guys, so everybody can see it right now. So we want to make sure that everybody can partake of it. So thank you. Yeah, we got it on screen.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Any final comments you guys wanted to make?
Well, Sabrina and Jason, I sent you the other flyer. I just want to let you know we do have support groups run through our ISA Psychological Services Center. We've collaborated with them to provide support groups for family caregivers of people with dementia. But in this month, on November 18th and November 21, we're so happy that Dr. Claire Camacho, who's a speech and language pathologist, is actually volunteering to give some talks about swallowing disorders and the elderly. And in addition to that, they also have these support group sessions on a regular basis. And so that's one resource that we'll talk about later tonight as well. But Sabrina, sorry, one last word. I think we want to give people permission to, you know, not feel guilty. I mean, I'm a caregiver too, and, you know, we all feel guilty that, you know, sometimes we're stressed and you know, we don't want to take it out on our loved one, right? We don't want to get angry.
Yeah.
We don't want to show them that we're impatient or we're tired. It's hard getting there after work and being really supportive and caring, right? But in our heart, we all are very caring. And so we want to just take time tonight and this weekend to give people permission to say, hey, you're human. You know, think about yourself and what your needs are. And we're going to go over a guided meditation because you can spend like 2 to 3 minutes taking some deep breaths, and we'll go over a very simple exercise. And I swear that will get your blood pressure and your pulse and get those negative feelings out,
Right.
so that you can provide care in a loving way.
And those feelings are pretty normal, right, Margaret, for people to get those feelings of frustration and sometimes even anger?
Oh yeah, very, very. I mean, yes, definitely.
Right, yeah. So you're
When
not
my dad
alone.
was ill, you know, yeah, he had a stroke, and we all took turns caring for him. But you know, it's hard. You've got to get off work, drive over there, and you're stressed out. So I had to learn, okay, you got to take some deep breaths and relax, because it's not his fault I got a job. It's not his fault that he needs this care. And so I had to learn to take some deep breaths in the car ride over, instead of having like road rage, right?
Yeah.
So there's little techniques that we'll teach people tonight to get yourself, to take care of yourself, so that you can do what you want to do, and provide that care to your loved one.
It can be frustrating. I remember when my brother had a stroke, and the recovery is very short-tempered, and so it did take a toll. But fortunately, we got a great sense of humor that runs in the family, and that was kind of the mechanism that we would use. So thank you for that, and thank you guys. This is going to be a great Zoom. We got the graphic up, Jay, if people want to check it out.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Stay
Anything
safe.
in closing here you want to throw out?
Well, I really encourage people to stay at home as much as possible. The COVID numbers are terrible. Just because there's huge clusters doesn't mean that we're all safe, right?
Right. Amen.
So I don't want people to get the wrong idea that,
Yes.
it's okay, it's a cluster.
Right.
But that's not necessarily true. So, keep sending your message. You guys are great. Stay safe. Try to stay home as much as possible.
Car
if you
score!
can.
It doesn't have the same power as when I yell "stay home." When I yell "stay home," you get it. It's stay your ass home.
Yeah, we love to stay home. Keep saying that.
Thank you, Doc.
Wait,
Okay.
before we let you go,
Sorry.
Dr. Margaret, are you involved with that temporary nursing assistant program? I think that there's a
Yes,
deadline to apply.
Yes.
Is-
Yes, so the deadline to apply is today at 5:00. We've already gotten 60 applications. This was a program we didn't really want to advertise too much, and so we went by word of mouth, because in the first evening when we sent the flyer out, we had already gotten like over 50 emails just overnight. And so we're looking to try to do a short track, a very quick nursing assistant training program. I got to really thank the governor. We reached out to her. We're using our funding from this grant, actually, this geriatric workforce enhancement program grant has funding for nursing assistant. But knowing the really horrible need at GMH, right, the crazy shortage, and GRMC and Health Services of the Pacific, the nursing leaders came together and we kind of threw together. I mean, it doesn't sound like we threw it together, but it's well thought out. But we came up with a plan. I just mean that it's been 3 weeks. We got the plan approved by the Board of Nursing to try it. We got the governor to give us her blessing and provide some financial support. Our program officer in the federal government also approved it. So we are going to start hopefully next week to do a short 32-hour online nursing assistant training. And then they'll have 2 days of hands-on skills at GMH and GRMC, similar to the medic training. Remember how GRMC trained the medics really quickly, the National Guard medics?
Mm-hmm.
They did a beautiful job. That was a great model. So we're going to try it again because our hospitals need our help. And I just want to thank the people of Guam, because we've had almost 200 people interested, looking for work. And we were very upfront. This is to work with COVID patients.
Right.
So these people that are applying, actually, some of them have said, there's someone that's at GMH in environmental health, a displaced worker, when DOL was hiring people to do sanitizing.
Right.
And I thought, who the heck's going to take that job? Well, people took those jobs, and one person was in our session on Monday and actually said, this changed my life. I've seen what the nurses are doing, what they're going through,
Amen.
and I want to help. I want to be trained to be a nursing assistant. And the people of Guam, really, that touched my heart.
And
the
by
nurse
the way,
administrators from GMH were there.
congratulations. This is the first time we got a chance to talk to you on being a fellow with the American Academy of Nurses. Congratulations.
Thanks so much, and thank you, Sabrina. I saw your name on the article. You published that very quickly. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
I'll
it.
credit to Suzanne. Suzanne was like, "Hey,
It's a
Bree,"
big
and I was
win
like,
for
"Oh,
Guam,
Yeah.
Right.
It's the first. It's a real acknowledgement of Guam, and that our Guam nurses, we are doing a great job. And so, on behalf of the nurses of Guam, I was just so thrilled about that. So thank you.
For she's a jolly good fellow. For she's a jolly good fellow.
I love that. That's great.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you,
Yeah, just-
Amber.
Thank you, guys.
Guys,
Thank you so much.
there's virtual
Thank you.
potu and butter. It's softened, okay? It's at room temp, so you can just smash it down in there. Okay? So take some
Thank
up.
you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Have a great
guys. Thank
day.
you, Amber.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Margaret. Okay.
I got a little bit of two bits of information.
No way.
Yeah, I want to pass along, guys, relative to something that we talked about at the beginning of the show. You know, we were talking about that absolutely beautiful United States flag that was flying yesterday because of Veterans Day. I actually found out that that was actually put up right outside the VFW by our friends
Yeah.
Dave and Nancy Barnwell. You may remember them because they were the ones who restored the bronze sculpture of the two lovers up at Punta dos Amantes. They actually saved that when it got blown